Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to Spirit-Centered Business with Domansky. Today, we're going to continue the conversation about cryptocurrency and above the sun trading tables and some nuts and bolts of what it's about. And again, Jeff, we probably just do this in the wrong order, but it's all happens for a reason, right? So if you need to understand it first and then go back and watch some of the former episodes where we talked with Mary Renat or even Jeff's part one, that's fine. That's fine. This is the episode where we're going to understand. Jeff is going to make me understand blockchain and some other weird stuff that I'm not used to because I'm not technical. All right, Jeff, I'm just going to give you the floor.
Okay.
Teach us a wise one.
All right. I'm about 6-7 months wise. I've been doing a lot of deep diving.
You get into it. You're just going.
I know there's definitely. I might have to kind of watch it with my kids. I don't get too lost in the weeds with them and my wife. But yeah, I've been diving in the deep end and it's been fun. It's been just excitement to it. So I was just thinking, where would I start? And I guess I'd have to go back and, my history is I'm still learning, but I'm getting a better handle where cryptocurrency came from and how it got started. It started in 2008. With Bitcoin being the first blockchain, and a guy named Satoshi who came up with an algorithm, a math problem, you could say, a complex math problem that created this coin called Bitcoin, created the blockchain that Bitcoin is built on. And it was a birth of something that was unique. It was birthed out of cryptography, which is basically encrypting of data, right? And cryptography has been around for a long time, since the 1950s even. So it's been coming on slowly, but moving into the financial aspect of it really has been turn of the century. So Bitcoin came on the scene, and obviously, when something new in technology comes, it takes a while for adoption. So we're still really on the fringe or the embryonic stage of cryptocurrency, even though it's talked about a lot more in the news and across the coffee table. It's still not as widely understood, obviously, or adopted. Right. And so there's so much growth and potential for increase yet to be experienced, even though we're already seeing our first millionaires and even billionaires in the cryptocurrency world starting to show up. There's so much more wealth, there's so much more growth in its use and in the development of the technology yet to be explored. So it's really a good time to jump in. No one is behind on this, really. We're all learning. It's a big learning curve, but just by having this interview, talking about it, shows that there's an interest, and I would say we're on the front end of a major tidal wave, a tsunami. So you're in good position, really. So blockchain, as I said, is a logarithm, and it's actually. Let me back up. The best way to describe blockchain, the simplest layman's terms, is to call it a ledger. And that's actually what the term they use. It's a digital ledger of transactions. So if you look at an accountant's book, right, someone you hire to do your money, tracks the expenses and the income for your finances, right? This is the same thing that occurs, but at a simplest form. It's tracking the coming and going of cryptocurrency, of that coin, in and out of your control, all right? And it keeps a historical track of where money goes and what's going on. But it's done through a anonymous but very transparent technology, which is the blockchain. So blockchain, if you look at just kind of a picture, you have a chain and you have blocks on it, right? That's where the name comes. Each block is a grouping of transactions, buying and selling, the trading of coins, whether it's a US dollar buying into Bitcoin or Ethereum, or it's taking Ethereum and trading it for another token or another coin. All of those transactions are captured in a block, and a block contains hundreds and hundreds of transactions within a time frame. And in that time frame, it's captured, and when it's verified, it's then added to the chain in a chronological order. And the chain gets longer and longer and longer and longer. And it's all historically documented. You can go back if you know what you're looking for. I haven't gotten to that far into the weeds, understanding how to interpret the blockchain itself, but those who are much more experienced at it, understand the code, can get into each block historically and find out when and where and what was done. So that's the transparency.
Is there any way to manipulate that once they go in there?
No. In the real world sense, no. The computation requirements to make that happen are astronomical, nearly impossible to go in and crack the code in a sense.
Okay.
So, and basically what's going on is the computer uses, it takes data. It doesn't matter how much data, and it crunches it down into a hash, and a hash is basically a math problem that takes the data and turns it into letters and numbers, and it always is the same number of letters and numbers. For instance, Bitcoin uses a hash function, which is the processing of the hash, the creation of the hash, to create a 256-bit address or hash. And it doesn't matter how much, if my post gives you an example of a word, and changing one letter on the word creates a completely different hash. If I add 3 words to that first word, it'll create a completely different hash, but it'll still be the same length. And it's quite extraordinary technology. But because of that, and the difficulty of trying to reverse engineer, it's pretty much near impossible to do that right now. So it's very secure. The other thing is, so it's very transparent. You can see all this information on the ledger, but it's anonymous because there is no personal identification tied to anybody with regard to the transactions.
So the blocks are just time counts.
Right.
What happened during this hour of this day?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's actually like shorter time compression times. Some chains build blocks faster than others. Ethereum is really slow, and that's why they're actually going to be doing some upgrades that I'll get to a little bit later. You've got some other coins like Dash, Cardano, and my mind's blinking on some other ones, Stellar, which are all different blockchain technologies, and they have their coins, and some move faster, process faster. Transactions are like within seconds or less. So it all depends on, and I'm getting too far in the weeds. Let me back up a little bit. So how does a blockchain really work across the globe? How does the transactions occur? So we talked about decentralization in the last part of this interview.
Yeah.
And so decentralization, the concept here is that across the globe you've got tens of thousands of computers all running at the same time, they all have a copy of the ledger. All right, so you have a digital ledger, which is the blockchain, and it's carbon copied identically on every single node across the globe that's tied into the blockchain network. And
Wow.
faster than a second, you're getting this synchronous connection. They're syncing the ledger. Right. Matter of fact, if you were ever to go to a blockchain explorer, which is kind of interesting, when you make a transaction, you can actually go to what's called a blockchain explorer, and it shows you the information for that transaction. And on that blockchain explorer, right after the transaction, you'll see it go through a process of verifications. And the verifications is basically a certain percentage or number of nodes that are saying, yes, this is a valid transaction, I verify, I confirm it. And they sign off. And it has to go through several nodes before the transaction is verified and it can be added to the blockchain. So what's going on is the nodes are talking to each other and saying, this just happened, do you verify that it happened? Yes, it happened here, 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 here. And then it duplicates multiple times over on the blockchain, and all the ledgers get synced. And this is happening in seconds, a matter of seconds. So it's amazingly fast.
Okay, so what I was going to ask was, what would be a flag that it wouldn't get verified? But I think you explained it. It's they're saying you recognize that this just happened, and so if nothing happened, then it's like, no, I didn't see anything.
So there are some times when it doesn't, and this might get a little too in the weeds, but I'll kind of skim across the top of them.
Sure.
Two ways it doesn't verify it, right? One, the address where you send or you do the transaction on is incorrect. So it says.
And so that's a wallet, right?
That would be a wallet, yes.
An address is a wallet? Okay.
That's right, yeah. So everybody has a public address tied to their wallet where their cryptocurrency is connected to, right? So when I send you money, I get your public address, and then I copy that and paste it in, because it's a long address, and then I send it, and then it goes to the verification process. If I input that address wrong, then it gets rejected, doesn't get verified. The other issue that can come up is what's called gas fees. And this is what it costs to actually process the transaction. So you have what are these called miners, M-I-N-E-R, not O-R.
Yeah.
Think of gold miners.
Coal miners in a mine.
Yeah, right. And they have computers, or the mining computers that are doing the processes. They are crunching the numbers. These are the nodes, right? These are the computers that are doing the math problems to create coin and also to verify transactions. So they cost money. They're doing it for free, right? And so what happens is in the transaction, they get a very, very small increment, a percentage of that transaction cost. There is a possibility, because you can, and most of us will just do it, not really experience this, but those who really want to shave off time and money to make more will get into the weeds of how to adjust your gas fees so that you can get the most out of your transaction, right? There's the potential of underpaying your gas fees, and it basically invalidating, or the rejection of the transaction. Then we'll say you didn't pay enough, and so we can't complete the transaction. And then that will be a case where it doesn't happen, and on top of that, you lose that gas. What you did pay, you don't get that back. So, yeah.
So don't try to shave the system. Just pay the gas fee. Get your fund.
Right. So and we can talk more at length of that, but it's quite it's interesting how it all works, but but generally
you kind of get the picture.
Yeah.
Right. So gosh, there's still so many questions. Essentially, let me say it, and then you tell me or you can embellish on if I got it wrong, correct it. So essentially, you take dollars and you go into one of the what do you call the places where you
Exchange.
buy
Mm-hmm.
an exchange?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go into an exchange and you select which coin or token you want to buy, and then can you buy it right there, or do you have to go back to your wallet? I'm not really.
Okay, well,
Can you buy it right there?
it depends on how you're set up. If this is the first time you've ever done it, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, you go to the website, put in your information, it's not going to happen right away. There are a few things you got to do before you buy, and it depends on what exchange. There are two types of exchanges. There's the central exchanges, like Coinbase or Binance, and then you have what are called decentralized exchanges, and those are like Shapeshift, which is one I use a lot, Kraken, Gemini, just to name a few. There's a lot of
So
them.
just to clarify, and we talked about this in segment 1, decentralized is better.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm a proponent for decentralized, and I'll explain why. So there's two exchanges, and the difference is a centralized exchange keeps, you have an account with them. When you buy your coin, it stays on their ledger, on their account, okay, within their own. So, yeah, it's like a bank. That's right, and they have access to your private key, which is access to your coins, which is access to trade and to do things, make money off of your coins while it's there, just like a bank.
That defeats the purpose of getting away from our current financial system, right?
It does. It's not the central bank's in charge. It's just some other central exchange, right? The Dex is different in that we call it Dex, Decentralized Exchange, right? In that you maintain control at the whole time of your cryptocurrency, your assets, and that's done through a wallet, a digital or a hardware wallet, which is where we talked about the address. So what it does is it allows you to connect your wallet to their exchange, and then they allow you to do your buying and selling and trading, and they call it swapping, with what's on your wallet. And they're just the interface to allow you to engage with or transact with other wallets or addresses in that regard.
Okay, so really the first thing you want to do is set up a wallet and then go to a decentralized exchange and buy something to put in your wallet, right?
Yeah, that would be my preference. I mean, it might be.
All right.
You could go. So if we went the other route and went with central exchange, you would just go create an account, and then you would also set up. And there's the other thing. Central exchanges mostly do. You tie in your bank account to the account. That sounds scary, right? And it is kind of scary. But you basically deposit money from your bank account into your account to buy and sell, and to trade on those exchanges. And so that's where they started. We've moved now, so now you can use your debit card to buy, or your credit card. Bad idea, my personal opinion. But using your debit card to buy instead of using a tied account. And with the exchange, the centralized exchanges, that's how you do it, is through your debit card. So you basically connect your wallet, then you tie in your debit card to buy the cryptocurrency. There's another component involved with exchanges, and it depends on which exchange you use, how varied it will be. But it's called Know Your Customer, KYC is the acronym, and it essentially is a way for them to verify you as you. And it requires some information, often a picture, a photo, a legal government photo ID. Could be passport, it could be a license, driver's license. I think even military license might work on some exchanges. And then also social security number, and what was the other thing they asked for? Well, I think those are the three. Oh, then a physical, a passport photo kind of idea. Like I had one example where I've had to hold my license up with my face and take a picture so that they know that my license is me. It's a way of verifying. Right now, it's a wild west with regard to a lot of stuff, and that's no different. That it depends on what exchange you get on, how much information it requests, but it's usually a one-time deal, setting it up, and then after that, it's pretty straightforward with just getting on, especially if you're using a decentralized exchange, just getting on and buying the cryptocurrency. That's just moving into it, right? Buying it with US dollars. Once you're in it and you have coins and you're wanting to buy other coins to swap, none of this is an issue. It's already inside the system. So
another thing that I noticed is that not every exchange has every coin. So
Right.
if you've been doing research and you want a certain coin, then you have to now find a decentralized exchange
Right.
that deals in that coin.
yes,
Correct?
yes.
Okay.
Good way of doing this, the learning that, is to go to their websites. If you don't know where a coin's website is, you can often go to coinmarketcap.com or coincap.com, or both exchange watchers or coin watchers. They provide wonderful information on the activities of thousands of coins, but all of them will provide a website link, allow you to go find the coin's website and then find out from them where are you selling your coin. So
Okay, so Tina, make sure that you get those in the show notes, okay? I didn't write them down, that went so fast.
CoinMarketCap is one, and then CoinCap is another. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And they're just basically giving you the current value of the coins and showing historical data in the charts
Okay.
over time. And then, yeah.
Okay. You mentioned one thing, and I just want you to expand on it just a little bit, because one of your newsletters from Above the Sun Trading Tables was not your keys, not your coins. So I'd like you to just expand on that a little bit, because we kind of went over that fast.
Yeah, so going back to these central exchanges, as I said before, when you have an account with a central exchange, your coin sits there with them. They have, basically they hold your private keys. They know what they are to access the coin. And so you don't have what I call positive control. It means you can't fully control what's going to happen with the coin. It's a promise. They say that your coins are there, and when you ask for them, the promise is it'll be available for you to pull them off when they want to. Okay, so it's but while it's there, they're using your coins to make money, and so
Just like a bank.
just like a bank. So they have access to your private keys, and it's not like they have like it written down on a piece of paper, your password concept. It's a little more ingrained in that, a little more detailed, but that in a high level understanding, they have access to that. So this is why we encourage people to get their own wallet and control their own private keys, because then no one can do anything with your cryptocurrency, your assets, without your authorization. And so the key is, so you've got your public address, which is what you give people when they want to send or receive person to person, peer to peer transactions. Then you have the private key, which is the verification and authorization that only you have access to, whether it's on your digital wallet, a digital wallet or a hardware wallet. A digital wallet is something like MetaMask, which can be a browser extension, excuse me, or on your phone, you can have an app on your phone, and that works the same way. And there's lots of digital wallets. And then a hardware wallet, which is basically a physical piece of equipment or hardware that looks like a thumb drive. Some look like a thumb drive, some are a little larger. And I don't have anything with me right now, unfortunately. I should have pulled that out. But like key is one, ledger's another kind, Trezor is another type of hardware wallet. Those are
If
three.
I remember right,
Mhm.
is it true that some of those hardware wallets can only keep certain coins? You have to know what coins you have in order to buy the hardware wallet?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think all of that's going to change? Or do you think it's going to stay?
To some degree, there are growing and adding more coins. It's in their best interests to do that, because that means more people are going to use their software, or they're going to buy their hardware wallets. In general, everybody I don't know a wallet that doesn't, is going to be able to carry Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are like your gold and silver. Those are ubiquitous. Everybody has to use them. It's when you get into some other coins, especially getting to tokens. And let me just interject here about the difference between a coin and a token, because this is important. You can't buy tokens, you can't get into tokens unless you first get into a coin. Tokens are built on the same blockchain, but they're not they can't operate by themselves. So you have to trade Bitcoin, or you have to trade Ethereum to buy into a token, right? So that's one thing. Like with FE1, we have to first go buy Ethereum, and then once you have Ethereum, then you can send or trade that into. And actually, I might be getting that wrong. You have to actually, if you're doing a pre-sale, that's how they were doing it. So I backed that up a little bit, because FE1 itself is built on a different coin, but that's the idea.
But that was how they did it in pre-sale. So.
That's right. Yeah. To do it now on the exchange with Word and what's the other? Faith are the two on the exchange.
Yahweh and Word are the only two ones that are not.
Yeah, FE1 and Yahweh. I think it's Word and Faith are the ones that exchange.
Okay.
To buy those now, or to get into those, you have to go buy the Binance coin, BSC is what the acronym for it, and then go swap it for their coins.
So it's a little bit of a learning curve to figure out all of this stuff.
Yeah. To get in the door, everybody, if you're just starting, is just go buy some Ethereum or a Bitcoin. That's the first thing you got to do, because you're not going to get anywhere else until you do that.
I'm glad you said that, because I really want you to talk about Ethereum, because you had a really good article about the use case of Ethereum and why it's superior.
Okay. So like Bitcoin, Ethereum is a blockchain, right? It runs on the same concepts and technologies as Bitcoin does, but the design of it is more like a computer, in that it can actually be used for other things besides money. And so what we're seeing is now an explosion, especially this year, where people are building applications. They're called digital apps, or decentralized apps, excuse me. The short way is DApp, D-A-P-P. And they're applications for various uses. Right now, mostly you're seeing it in the financial, where they're like a DApp would be MetaMask, right? So that's a digital wallet, but it's built on the DApp concept. So it's going to be used in financial interfaces, applications online, in browsers, but you're going to start seeing it it's already actually in video streaming, used in gaming, Another market is NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens, artwork, so Ethereum is what these applications or programs are being built on, the blockchain or the technology. So it's not only just going to be used as money, but it's also going to be an encrypted application for interfacing for services as well. And because of that, it's actually it's exploding. It's starting to grow much and much faster because its case use is much more broader than just finances, just using it as money.
Right. Okay. So that's why, just if you're starting out, just go get some Ethereum. And then if you want to support the Kingdom coin, get FE1. And that, go back to 2 weeks ago with Mary Renat. We interviewed her and she talked all about the FE1 coin. But you still have to buy it with Ethereum. So that's gonna be the first thing.
Right. Yes.
Set up your MetaMask wallet,
Mm-hmm.
and then go to. Is MoonPay a decentralized or is that a central?
MoonPay, I think, is a decentralized exchange as well. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's where I went to get my Ethereum.
Yeah.
And then, okay. Yeah. So, goodness, is there anything else that people need to know or understand in order to just start? This has been really good and kind of explained the technology behind it and all of that. Is there anything else mechanically or in the process of doing it?
Well, I would say take your time. Don't get flustered. There are so many different ways of doing stuff right now. Like I said, it's a wild, wild west. That could be scary for some people, for a lot of people. But think about where you're coming out of, right? I mean, Israel left Egypt, which was order and structure, but it was also oppression, right? Yeah, they had leeks and onions to eat. Yeah, that's great. But they traded it for the wilderness. And in the wilderness, transformation occurred, right? But it was uncomfortable. It was not fun. Lots of sand, right? It was a new experience. So you have to give yourself grace to walk this out. There is a promised land on the other side. And if you'll just take the time and work through it, and then find someone that knows how to do something, even just one step ahead of you is helpful. There are so many different types of apps, so many different interfaces. You'll find familiarity across crypto land as far as how things work. But right now, there's just a lot of different ways to engage with cryptocurrency. And that's great because it allows for innovation to flourish. So reach out to people that know how to do it, and there are resources.
How can people reach out to you?
Well, you can go to our website. You can go to, we have actually, not on just the weekly posts, but we have a monthly subscription, and included with that is our weekly Zoom session where we get into depths and into the weeds with this stuff. We also have then access to a Discord server. We're on Discord, and we have a lot of conversations going on there, a lot of wonderful information. But our team, this is the big thing, we're building relationships, right? Our team is here to help.
This is the crypto support group.
That's right. Calm down. That's right.
It's really good. You guys are really knowledgeable, and I've joined in on a few of those calls, and they've been really good. Yeah, sometimes they get over my head as far as they leave, but at least it's something where every week I can show up and ask a question if I have something going on. And you also mentioned something that I really want to let people know, or just really hit, because you zoomed over when you said when you're leaving Egypt, you're leaving the oppression. And the oppression, you guys, the current financial system is not your friend. Mm-hmm. And I did an episode a long time ago, episode 18 with Dan Duvall, and he explained some of the crazy corruption and the satanic stuff that's going on with the financial system in that episode. If you want to understand what oppression the current financial system is, so we're so blessed that the new one is coming. And like Jeff said, it's the Wild West. We don't really know how everything's gonna play out. And in part one with Jeff here, we talked about what was it, the quantum and some of the connection with our DNA structure. And I'm like, oh, well, that's freaky. But God has a plan. We just have to trust that everything that's being used for evil can also be used for good, and probably was intended to be used for good anyway. So we can't just run away and abdicate the knowledge of it or the we have to just check in with Father and say, what do you say about this?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, you guys. So don't be afraid to jump into crypto. Do join AboveTheSunTradingTables.com if you need some help, support. These guys are terrific. The newsletter has been so helpful. Great gold nuggets of information. Plus, then if you become a member, then you can join the Zoom, weekly Zoom with them, and you can ask questions. And they not only cover crypto, but you also cover real estate. What else?
Precious metals and enterprise or entrepreneurship as well.
Sing my song. All right. Very good. Okay, you guys. Oh, this has been so good. Thank you again, Jeff. I really appreciate your time for both part one and part two. This has been terrific. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our group.
Yes.
All right, and for audience, until next time, stay spirit-centered.
Shalom.
Thank you for listening to Spirit-Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.